Welcome back to Casual Bias Rugby. We've got Jake, we've got Jimmy. The British and Irish Lions squad has been announced that's going to travel to Australia. Boys, we've got some talking points, but before we get into that, Jimmy, how are you doing? We haven't seen you for a little while. Nice jersey.
Thank you. I was in hiding for a while after the weekend. Didn't post for a while after that rough result, to say the least. But yeah, we're back now. We're talking about the Lions. We don't have to talk about Champions Cup anymore. So yeah, I'm in full Lions talking and full Lions gear too. So yeah.
Yeah. People, if you do like the jersey that Jimmy's wearing, there's a link in the bio. If you click it, you can go to the British and Irish Lions shop through that, copy yourself a jersey. It is clean. It is very sexy. Go get yourself one of those. If you're an Australian supporter as well, there's one for you as well. Okay. Jake,
hello.
Before we ask you how you're doing, you said you have a British and Irish Lions jersey, but you haven't managed to fit into it in the past. Now, the people that have been following the channel for like the last 2 or 3 weeks would know we're on a Jake healthcare fitness journey. How's the fitness going in the past 2 days?
I've got multiple Lions sort of jackets and shirts and stuff that I can't fit into because I was so determined to fit into a medium and I'm not there yet. But I haven't run for a couple of days, which is not good. But I didn't eat lunch yesterday, but then I did have a big chicken burger. Well, 2 of them. So I don't know if that offsets.
But 2 of them all.
2 big ones.
2 medium-sized ones. But you know what? It's 1 meal a day. It's got to do something.
No, fair enough. Boys, as we said, there's some talking points, right? So people, please do remember to hit that like and subscribe button. It's totally free. Join the community. We just chat rugby. We just chat a bit of shit. There's no analytical work. It's just fans coming together. The same with go to their YouTube, go to their TikTok, go follow them on that journey. Anyway, British and Irish Lions. We kind of knew this would happen, but Maro Itoje, captain, are we happy with that? I know. Let me actually before we say that, Jimmy, I want to come to you because you're an Irish fan, right? Now we obviously know Callan Doris would have been selected for this team. Do you reckon he would have been the captain as well, or do you think was it a foregone conclusion that Doris is going to get captaincy, or do you think it might have been like a little shootout between Doris and Itoje? Because Itoje has been brilliant as captain for England as well. Or do you think it was just going to be Doris then?
I think it would have been a bit of a competition, but I think most Irish fans, like myself included, would have had Doris as captain, and I think it's really unfortunate what happened to him at the weekend. But hopefully he is probably one of those spots with like could have 2 extra spots there that maybe if he is fit eventually he'll get on that team. But yeah, Toji, if it wasn't Doris like after getting injured, then yeah, Toji I think was probably the main choice.
And you happy with that as well?
Yeah, I'd say it's fair enough.
Yeah, Jake, Englishman, representing the country, representing the Lions.
Captain. Yeah, I don't see why Doris, why I told you wasn't first choice anyway. I mean, you don't know who was first choice, but I mean, he's been on 2 of these tours before. He's older than Doris. Doris is not been on a Lions tour before, so I think I told you should have been getting captain regardless. To be honest.
Well, either way, I think Itoje is a great captain, right? I think Doris would have been a great captain too. But Itoje has it feels like he's taken his responsibility in terms of his leadership and upped his game as well. Since he's been captain for England, his game has been outstanding. Now, he's always been a quality player, but you look at his standout performances from, let's say, from New Zealand till throughout the Six Nations, you can clearly see he's taken that leadership responsibility very seriously. So, yeah, well done to him. Now, let me come to Jake again. Andy Farrell, we've seen the approach that he's taken, right? We spoke about maybe Courtney Laws gets in, maybe Jack Willis gets in, maybe Owen Farrell gets in. He's taken the approach to say, listen, we're taking no one that's not currently representing their country. Do you feel that is the correct decision? Or how do you think that they came to that conclusion?
I don't know. I don't know.
Because Jack Willis had to be there.
He did. I would have had him. And
you had him in your starting lineup as well.
Yeah.
And that's fair enough because he's been brilliant.
I feel like he's been the best back rower over the last 18 months consistently after Caelan Doris. I think he's just been awesome, and it feels really harsh on him. I think Courtney Laws and Owen Farrell for different reasons, but it must be because he's not playing Test rugby, or he just thinks maybe because he's playing for Toulouse and the longer season there and the strength at back row that there's no point bringing him. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, you kind of avoid any potential conflict that there could have been by saying, okay, we're not taking any guys. Because if it's like, okay, we're opening the doors for the internationals, how do you explain to your son, I'm not taking you?
Yeah.
Right, like, tough discussion to have as a father as well.
But
so, I mean,
it's fitness, Farrell, to be fair. Like, it's quite different, I think.
Yeah, but let's say if he was fit within the next 3 months, 2 months.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, it's still a good squad. There's obviously a couple of spanners in the work, a couple of left field shouts in there, and we'll speak all about it. Jimmy, what's your take on no internationals being picked for this one? Because I saw a couple of people also talk about Dave Ribbons, and he also didn't make the cut.
Yeah, I think if in the English case, having to play in England to be in the national team, I think the likes of Jack Willis, I think he knew what he was getting into when he signed that contract to Toulouse. He did extend it. I think taking that money in Toulouse, it does come with the catch of not being able to play international rugby, and I think he did take the money over the international, and I don't think that deserves to be. I don't think you deserve to be in a Lions jersey if you do take the money over your country, to be honest. But yeah, that's just
Jake,
me.
what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't know. You just know the risk that if you're not playing for test rugby, you're going to run the risk of not getting chosen for the Lions. And yeah, he's made his choice. He knows these are the risks he's got. But I still thought he would have got taken. But I'm very annoyed at you for bringing up Dave Ribbons, because I was going to bring that up later as a very classy little comment from Jake, and you've just stolen that. So thanks for that.
Well, you didn't bring it up even earlier, so I'm proud of that one.
Well, we've got lots of players who haven't been picked. I thought we were going to do it separately, but
we are, but he was just one of those international ones as well. So I just threw him in the box with the international ones.
It's a great shout, though, because he's been playing really well for too long.
Yeah, fair enough. I also saw a video, and I wanted to hear your opinion on this one, right? Because obviously, there's the same amount of South Africans picked as Welsh. There's more Kiwis picked than Welsh in this team. Jokes aside, what's your opinion on the people that say some of these guys has only moved over to that country? And let's say for the likes of a James Lowe, who moved over when he was, 24, 25, to be representing the British and Irish Lions. Don't you think someone to represent the Lions should be born and bred a Lion, if you get what I mean? Part of the British and Irish Lions. I just want to hear your discussion point around. Like, I'm pretty fine with it, but I think it's a good talking point.
If you're playing for one of the country's regular teams, you have to be eligible for Lions as well, don't you? Like, it's the same thing.
No, I know. On paper and stuff, it's perfectly fine. But I'm just talking about, like, ethically. Because a lot of these guys, like, grow up and it's their dream, right? Then you get a guy and it's like, well, their grandma's sister.
It's not. It's
somehow stumbled into Ireland.
You have to, if you get rid of residency rules, you have to get rid of them for, like, international teams. It's not like.
I know. That's why I said it's a bit hypocritical, but I think it's an interesting discussion.
I personally would stop that more, yeah, or make it just like a tier 2 allowed thing.
I think it's just like
Wales and Scotland, and then Romania.
Like, obviously, they are the best, right? They deserve to be there. Gibson Park, James Lowe, Bundiaki, all of them, they deserve to be there. But it's such an interesting thing, because now it's like, for instance, there's no Fraser Dingwall. Fraser Dingwall probably dreamt of this moment or whatever. And now you have Duan van der Merwe there, who's represented the Springboks. He gets to play against the Southern Hemisphere for, like, the boyhood dream of the guys that are born in the Northern Hemisphere. Jeremy?
Yeah, well, I think these lads have earned their spots. Like James and Gibson Park, easily, like, outside DuPont, like, he's definitely by far the best scrum half on the planet. These lads have earned their spots as players, but yeah, it might be taken away from some of the lads who grew up wanting it. But I think, yeah, maybe preferably in the future that, like, countries bring in less imports, but for now I think that, yeah, it's fine. These lads, most of them are Irish citizens now. In Ireland's case, I'd say they'd probably consider themselves Irish, a lot of them now. But yeah, I think, yeah, it's fair enough. They're great players and they've earned their spots.
Yeah, in the end, it's professional sports, right? They are Irish citizens. They are English, Scottish, whatever. Right? That I don't want to take away from that. I'm just talking about the principle of it. But anyway, let's get to the nitty gritty with the forwards. Jake, we had our expectations or our prediction of who's going to be in the squad. Couple of changes that came through. We saw Cummins coming through, Scott Cummins from Scotland. Who else am I feel like I'm missing someone now.
James Ryan.
James Ryan, yeah.
James Ryan, massive shout.
Henry Pollock.
Yes.
Do we feel like there's a couple of boys that missed out on this opportunity? Because we spoke about Duffer Jenkins.
Yes.
Maybe even Will Rowlands.
Yeah.
When you look at just purely on the fact of James Ryan, like James Ryan's a quality player, like really, really quality player. But he hasn't been at the races necessarily for the past couple of months. And you would probably agree with that, Jimmy. I mean, Joe McCarthy and Tide Byrne are probably set out there. I've got James Ryan there, and you think there's maybe a couple of guys a bit more deservingly of that spot. What's your thoughts on him, for example, getting in and there not being like a Duffer Jenkins, who's actually pitched up and played some brilliant rugby?
Well, James Ryan, in James Ryan's case specifically, like this guy, a couple of years ago, he was tipped to be Lions captain at one point with the form he's in. Now, since the World Cup, he hasn't really been the same. For club and country, there is someone ahead of him in the pecking order at the minute. But yeah, I think if David Jenkins was to get into that squad, I think it would have been over Scott Cummins. I think James Ryan, he's a very experienced player, and I do think he probably deserved to be in there, considering the fact there was, 6 second rowers picked in the squad. So I think if David Jenkins, who I do think deserved to be in there, I think he would have went in over Scott Cummins.
Well, Scott Cummins has just played great rugby. He's just had an injury recently, which kind of made him been forgot about. But he's a brilliant rugby player. I would have taken Cummins above James Ryan just purely on form at the moment. So I don't know. It feels a bit like a reputational pick. That one, like you know what you're going to get from him. But the thing is, like, I just think someone like a Daffer Jenkins could have been like the wild dog that you maybe needed. Well, James Ryan, like there's already leadership. There's already the experience. If you look at Mario Toje, Tide Byrne, I just think someone like a Daffer Jenkins could have offered you something a bit different than the likes of a James Ryan. What's your thoughts on that, Jake?
Yeah, I get it. And he's like, he gets through lots of work. Daffer Jenkins is usually like Wales' top tacklers. He's also like a sort of vice captain after Jack Morgan. So it feels harsh on him, but you know, I can't also argue the quality of Ryan and Cummings. And yeah, also we've said Jade Ribbons not in it. Lucky George Martin's injured for them because I think he would have been in it. So yeah, a few good locks missed out.
Yeah, Benel, your boy came in. He came in clutch. Gets that jersey.
Yeah,
do you reckon that they picked him as like who do you reckon was the Caelan Doris direct replacement? Do you think Ben Earl snuck in there?
Yeah, I do. I think Earl wouldn't have got in if it wasn't for Doris getting injured.
Yeah, because you need a couple of big ball carriers. Ben Earl's going to give you that, and Jack Cannon's going to give you that.
It's really difficult because he if Ben Earl was playing in his top form, he could be the best back rower in this squad now. But he's not really been hitting that form in 2025. Had a good Six Nations, but not like that World Cup where he was just different level. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's a couple of guys with the Lucy's, and we knew this was going to be the case of guys that missed out. Like I keep on thinking Jamie Ritchie on form, how good he's been. He's great in terms of the jackling, right? Who's going to be your main jacklers? Do you reckon?
Tom Curry, Pollock can do it. Those two.
Yeah, but Pollock will probably come from the bench, right?
Tom Curry's a jackler, and then Tide Byrne quite a good jackler.
Itoje gets over the ball as well a bit, to be fair.
A little bit, yeah.
I just think that the threat of a Jamie Ritchie, he's been so good, and I just feel like on form, he's been a bit hard done by on this occasion.
Yeah, and Jack Williams, which is crazy.
Yeah.
we talked about him, but it's just looking back, it's like mad.
Who do you reckon takes that 8 jersey? Do you reckon that goes to Ben Ol, or do you reckon maybe Jack Conan takes it? Maybe a Jack Conan impact from the bench, because he's been doing that for Ireland. He's been brilliant.
He's a Leinster fan, so he'll say Jack Conan, and I'm a Saracens fan, but I'm going to say Jack Conan because I just like the impact Jack Conan's had in the Six Nations, and he's in better form.
Yeah, I think Jack Conan's form off the bench in the last while, he's been hard done by, to be honest. Like, I think he has probably earned a starting spot, whether it's for club, country, or Lions, to be honest. I think with Dars being injured, I think it probably does open that space up for him to be a starter again, because he was starting, I believe, in the last tour, wasn't he, for the Lions at it. So,
Casual, how do you feel about Pollock being chosen?
I love it. I think it's great. As I've said before, he screams at the moment of what I've seen. Obviously, I haven't watched him too much in the Prem. Right, I've seen a couple of games of him. I've seen him play in the Champions Cup. I've seen him at the on the under 20 stage. I think he's a great player. I think he brings you a lot of energy. He screams Quagga Smith, right? I can only like that's kind of what I'm getting from it. He brings you just wild dog energy from the bench. Like, he's the perfect player, in my opinion, from the bench. He has to be part of that 23 on form as well. Yeah, I'm very happy about it. Did you obviously heard the crowd roar as well when his name popped up? Just tells you everything. Like, you always get this thing where there's a one season wonder. He doesn't look like a one season wonder. He looks absolutely brilliant. He can do it all. And if you go 6-2 split, he's got the pace to even slot in on the wing if you really need to, right? So I know you probably have the squad depth to cover that anyway. But if push comes to shove, you'll be sorted. So I love the fact that they're backing the young guy. You want to see the young talent. I hate it when we get to this situation where it's like, we're not going to play him because he's maybe just a bit young. But even though their talent is there, the quality is there. Yeah. So I'm glad the quality has been seen. The impact that he's made from this young age. He's played one English game, selected. Yeah. He's literally going to play more British and Irish Lions games than English games at the end of this year. That is crazy.
To the wild.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
It really is.
Did you see the reaction of the Northampton players when they got named?
Yeah,
they were happy when he was.
Yeah, that was pretty special.
But I think it's a bit of shock that goes through your body when that happens.
Yeah.
Another one that I quickly just want to bring up before we wrap up with the forwards. I brought it up last time when we spoke, Jake, and I've seen it on Twitter, but as well on form, same as the Jamie Ritchie situation. Faletau. Not having Caelan Doris there, on form, Faletau has been playing absolutely brilliant rugby.
I mean, I don't watch the URC as much as you guys, but I just wouldn't have him over the people we've got ready. I don't know.
I feel like there was a spot for him. Just as a proper ball carrier. He played brilliantly. I mean, last season we spoke all about Aaron Wainwright. We haven't even thought about Aaron Wainwright for Wales even, just because of how good Faletau has been in that 8 jersey.
What do you think, Jimmy?
I just think the back row depth in the Lions is just absolutely insane. And I think, Doris, getting injured, probably, in my opinion, the best out of those back rowers. But I think there was probably a queue of players that were going to take his place anyways if that nightmare situation did happen where he gets injured. And I think it's probably the same with the other players in there. But the likes of maybe Van der Fleer or whoever, if they got injured, there's a couple of players in line to take that jersey. But I'd say probably be a bit further down the pecking order for me.
I think even though Faletau's been playing well in URC, I think Earl and Conan both probably had better impacts in the Six Nations. It helps with the teams they're playing for, but yeah, I think that's probably just edged it for them over Faletau. This is now no longer Casual Bias Rugby. He's gone. He's back.
No, I'm back.
Before we move on to the forwards, there's been another robbery.
Who's that?
Absolute robbery.
Jamie George.
The man himself.
It's not a robbery. No. Ronan Keller is a proper player.
Very underrated.
But is this Jamie George? This is the best line-out thrower in the world.
I don't even reckon Ronan Keller really plays. I think that they're going to go. The main boys will be Dan Sheehan to start, and it will be Luka Ndiki from the bench.
Would you not want Jamie George coming off the bench? If it's 1-1 in the series, which you think it will be, and you've got 20 minutes left in the final test, would you not want experienced and reliable Jamie George on?
Wouldn't you want experienced and reliable Ronan Keller coming on? Ronan Keller is not a 20-year-old player. He's a great player.
He's great.
For the age he is, he's got mad amounts of experience, and the fact that the fact that Ireland have such a quality hooker there that he's sitting on the bench most of the time for club and country, it's just insane. But yeah, I think Kelleher's deserving of his spot. He's a very underrated player, and he's probably one of the unsung heroes of that Ireland squad and Leinster squad.
He's a great player. I don't think it's like, obviously I can understand that you maybe would have preferred Jamie George to Ronan Keller, but I don't think it's by any stretch of the imagination a robbery. I wasn't surprised at all when I heard that Keller is in.
It's a disgrace.
From my point of view, if you wanted Jamie George, and if it was for me, you would have took out Cowan Dickey. But that's just for me, and I'm a bit biased. But yeah,
what did you say, Jay?
I think
the Cowan Dickey's better than Kelleher.
Well, I had it, and my squad was Sheehan, Cowan Dickey, and Kelleher, so I wasn't really too shocked. So, yeah, the experience is good, but Kelleher is.
Jake just wanted more Sarri boys in there. That's why he's Sarri bias.
You were lucky enough. Like, I think the fact you got Elliot Daly is a miracle, to be honest. So I think you should be happy enough.
That's another one that's not a robbery.
We'll get to that,
I don't get what everyone's problem with it is. Let's actually move on to the backs, and we'll speak about Elliot Daly as well, like surprise inclusions. We'll start with Elliot Daly. I've seen people having an issue with him, right? Now I think Elliot Daly is a decent player. I don't think he's great by any stretch of the imagination, but I think he plays a role in every team that he goes into. I think he will be great impact from the bench. Cool, calm, collected, can slot in anywhere in that back line. He's got a reliable boot. If you have a 60-meter kick to win the game, give it to him. He absolutely boots it. I don't have a problem with Elliot Daly there. His experience, he's been there before for the British and Irish Lions. Plays a vital role for England. I mean, he came on, and I was one of those that criticized him playing in that France game. Came on, scored the winning try, played brilliantly against Italy. Why not?
Maybe just, yeah. Why do you think not then, Jimmy?
Well, I think, his versatility is fair enough to get him in, but I just think with the players that missed out, I know this might sound biased again, but Robbie Henshaw missed out. He was the starting centre in the last Lions. He's probably one of the most underrated players out there, in my opinion. And I think, versatility is a good thing to have. But if you have a 38-man squad, and if someone goes down injured, there's a call and someone's on the plane out to replace them. So I think with a quality player like Robbie Henshaw missing out for someone just for versatility is a bit strange for me.
The big inclusion is obviously, well, for me, is Mac Hansen. Okay, I know it's a nice thing that he grew up. He was born and raised in Australia. He's going to play in Australia again. But the fact that he's there above Darcy Graham while he's been like injured the whole time, and he's not been particularly great when he came back. I mean, we spoke about, for instance, even Tommy O'Brien. Was it Tommy O'Brien? Being better than Mac Hansen. Darcy Graham has been on great form. I would have rather even had Robbie Henshaw instead of Mac Hansen, because Robbie Henshaw covers both centres.
Yeah.
5-3 split, have Robbie Henshaw come on from the bench. You kind of covered.
Yeah, we see it a lot with Ireland when he comes on. We have to see him in that 23 jersey. But yeah, Mac Hansen, he's been very hit and miss this season. I don't think he's had a real proper run of fitness since the World Cup. I think he's had a lot of injuries. I did hear that he got injured the other day, and I thought that was him ruled out of the tour, and I was like, oh, okay. but I didn't see him really being a big name who was like a bombshell of being missing out. But yeah, I think it's one of those ones for the media. Like he's probably going to be playing in that game against the Brumbies, against his boyhood club.
Going to be
We'll
playing
probably
for the
see him.
Brumbies.
Yeah, we'll see him up against his boyhood club most likely. But yeah, it's probably just more a marketing thing with the media to get people talking.
Jake.
It's because he has a tattoo of Andy Farrell. It's the only reason he's got on this.
He has a tattoo of a couple of people, like, so I'd say if
Does
you
he
ask
actually have a
Mark
tattoo
Hansen to
of
get
Andy Farrell?
he does, yeah.
Why?
He's a tattoo. I think
It was
someone
a
said
bet.
I think it was after he won the Grand Slam or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was.
So he decided to get a tattoo of Andy Farrell. I think he has a few
No,
other tattoos of other people. So
I'll
I think
find
he
it.
got one of his comic teammates tattooed on him. But yeah. He
Well,
is
I
a
heard
character.
someone say it's because he's like the ideal winger for Andy Farrell. He likes the guy that gets involved, cuts inside, and he has a bit of creativity. And I'm like, well, you can just play Blaking Horn, right, on the wing, because he'll do that. Tommy Freeman does it all the time. So
my phone screen's a bit messed up, but there you go.
where's that?
It's Andy Farrell.
Yeah,
Where is it? It's on his leg, I think.
His leg. Yeah.
He's got that many tattoos of people, like, it's weird. But I think his defense has been really lacking this season, Mac Hansen. It's one of those really noticeable things that I've noticed. I think going forward, playmaking wise, I think he's been very good. But going defense, he's been dropping tackles constantly for Connacht down Ireland.
But we know he's not gonna get all the game time in the world. But I'm just thinking, like, he's taking a spot of someone that's, let's just use Darcy Graham. That's been playing great rugby, right? Darcy Graham's a bit different than all the other wingers that you've got. Darcy Graham could be a game changer out there on the wing. I've got Mac Hansen, and as I just mentioned, the people saying because he cuts inside and he has that creativity ability or whatever, he kind of plays like a fullback on the wing. Like, well, Tommy Freeman does that. You look at Blaking Horn can do that. Why do you need Mac Hansen?
Yeah.
Jake, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
It's just like Henshaw and Hansen, and they're not going to start. I know they offer something different, but Graham and they wouldn't start. I don't know. I just can't get overly passionate.
No, but it's not about the start.
I know it's not, but I quite like Mac Hansen. I know he's not in the best form. He's had injury issues, but I'm not going to lose my mind if Hansen gets in over Darcy Graham and Henshaw gets missed behind after some of the others. So, I'm sorry.
But you had a big problem with Jamie George, even though
because I think he'd have an actual impact on a game, a big game.
He wouldn't have played. He wouldn't have been one of the main two.
He would definitely come off the bench. He would come off the bench, and he could win you a game with a reliable.
What above Cowan-Dickie, who you just said?
Cowan-Dickie's a starter in a sort of the other club games, I think.
Okay, well, Darcy Graham's starting in the other club games.
Yeah.
Well, Mac Hansen, I think he'll do quite well in the club games, to be totally honest. But I'm a massive Mac Hansen fan. He's one of my favourite players. Before. Yeah, he's true. That is a good point. He has played against them before, and he's played for them before. But yeah, Mac Hansen, I'm a massive fan of his. But this season, his defence has been lacking. And yeah, if you're going off form, yeah, maybe a Darcy Graham or someone maybe will be ahead of him. But yeah.
Do you believe there's been Irish bias here with Andy Farrell?
No. I think it's been quite fair. I think the fact that there's only 2 more Irish players than English players shows how balanced it is.
No, it's just because we got more better.
No, because there's 2 Irish guys that I would take out, and that would be James Ryan and Mac Hansen. But I wouldn't replace him with English guys. I would have replaced him with David Jenkins and Darcy Graham.
That's still Irish bias, though.
Yeah, and then there's maybe like 1 or 2
English but then
it's
a 13-13 split,
players.
Right?
I'm not arguing England v Ireland. I'm just saying there's a favouritism towards Ireland. I don't know.
Well, isn't there favouritism towards England then as well? Because it's the exact same, and he's from England.
And and he's been a like one of the coaches for England before. So
because you can't say none of these English players shouldn't be in it.
Okay, well, there's only 2 Irish guys that's a bit questionable. The other 13 should be in it.
I think we're happy with most centres, right? The 4 centres chosen.
Yeah, talking point.
Yeah.
Fly-offs.
Marcus Smith,
Oh.
third choice 10.
Love it. Love
Jimmy.
it.
Oh, casual loves it. What do you think, Jimmy?
Form way diabolical, but well, yeah, he's been shocking. I'm not going to put it lightly. I'll just say he has been shocking for Quins, and Quins in general have been shocking recently. But
What are you basing that purely on the Leinster performance?
No, basing off the results as well. Apart from that, like they've been in a terrible run of form, really. But yeah, he can play fullback too, so I'd say that probably does help his case for being on the bench. But yeah, we can't forget that he was amazing in the autumn, and I think he probably was England's best player in the autumn. So, and then he was playing a fullback for most of the Six Nations, so he couldn't really shine the way he probably could have. But yeah, I don't know, not great form, but yeah, I think he probably does get in.
Jimmy, do you reckon the Leinster game against Saints was the decider between Finn Smith and Prendo? Let's say, because I saw this on Rugby Pass, if they had switched their games around, if Prendo played like Finn Smith that game, and Finn Smith had a bit of a disaster, do you reckon Prendo would have been on the plane and Finn Smith would have chilled on the couch?
Well, I think if Leinster won that game, I think both of them would have been on the plane. But I think basing off those two performances, I think they were both not great, especially off the tee. I think they both missed a good few kicks that day, and I don't think either of them were overly great. But yeah, I'd say what?
Jake,
Please tell me when you say then both not overly great, you mean just off the tee.
Well, especially off the tee, Prendergast dropped a few tackles, but Finn Smith wasn't much of a standout though. It was Tommy Freeman ran the show for Northampton.
A good few tackles.
He missed one or two. Tommy Freeman ran the show for Northampton. It wasn't Finn Smith who ran it.
You ran him in, but
like he could have made it fun. If Finn Smith was on it, against Leinster, they would have won by 10 points. And if Sam Prendergast was on it for Leinster, we would have won. But that's ifs and what ifs and all that. But
no, listen, Jimmy, the reality of it is you guys were calling for Ross Byrne while Preno was on the field.
It's just cut out there.
I said, while Preno was on the field, I saw the Discord chat asking for Ross Byrne to come on.
That's just delusional people. We don't claim them as Leinster fans. I don't know anyone in their right mind who would call for Ross Byrne to be on the field in a Champions Cup semi-final, especially in the year 2025. I would have rather Geordie.
That's rude. That's rude.
No offense to Ross Byrne, I do love him. I love you, Ross, but you're not a Champions Cup level play half these days.
Jimmy, can I just ask, before this squad came out, who you wanted as your third fly half? Even your second fly half. I'm not sure if your second fly half.
So who would have been your three?
Yeah, who are your three?
So I would have had I would have had Marcus Smith as one of the other players as utility, right? And then my three would have been Finn Russell, Finn Smith, and Sam Prendergast. I know Sam's been in a not so great run of form recently, but yeah, so technically 4, yeah.
Okay.
But I would have had Marcus down as one of the other positions technically.
I love Marcus Smith being selected. Jake, I explained it as the magic or the impact that he can bring from the bench. I wouldn't necessarily play Finn Russell and Finn Smith in the same game. I'd start either one of the two and have Marcus Smith from the bench. Slots in at fly-off, slots in at fullback, gives you that extra little spark if you really need to. I think he's the most creative of the three. I mean, we are not going to sit here and act like he didn't run the show for England. I know England lost a couple of games, but those were narrow defeats against the All Blacks, and he truly ran the show, especially in attack. I mean, he was brilliant for England against Australia in that game, if you guys can remember. He was like the only guy that actually played rugby. Him and Ollie Slido, right? Like, this guy is sensational. And the fact of the matter is, England kind of just switched their game plan as soon as they moved Marcus Smith to fullback. That's when they finally decided not to kick the ball away anymore. So I think Marcus Smith could have played the same thing as Finn Smith in that 10 jersey if they played with that game plan. And that's what we called for. Jake, how long did we call for that? Even before the Six Nations, that you just play some attacking, running rugby, which didn't happen. And then finally just switched it, balls to the wall rugby, and he looked so much better. But then,
Do you think that England's attack improved because Finn Smith is a better attack general with a whole backs attack?
No.
Okay.
I'm not saying that to discredit Finn Smith at all. Right? Like, I think Finn Smith is sensational. I think he's great in terms of structured play. He controls the game brilliantly. But I don't want to take anything away from how good Marcus Smith was in that time. I mean, you guys slipped off tackles. You didn't really have any attacking threat. I mean, that was defense on defense on defense every single game. A lot of kicks, and that was from the 9, for instance. I think if you played the way that you did with Marcus Smith at 10, right, like you did with Finn Smith at 10, I think you get the same results. That's just my opinion on it. But yeah.
I would say Finn Smith has a really good ability at helping others make line breaks and help them attack. And that's what it looks like. The whole attack just improved. And when Marcus is playing, he's like the star of the show. It doesn't mean he can't do the other stuff as well to a degree, but I just like the way Finn Smith brings others into the game. But yeah, it doesn't matter.
Well, there's obviously 2 ways to look at it. I mean, this is stupid from me, but I'm dragging in South Africa now into this. You look at the way that Sasha plays, right? Like, he's got so much talent. He does a lot of the things by himself, but he gets the other guys going as well. I think Marcus Smith can do the exact same thing. I don't think having a creative 9 that can also attack the gain line and stuff takes away from your attack necessarily. I think if you give Marcus Smith a structured play as well to put other guys through the gaps, like he did for Harlequins as well. I mean, how many times was it that Andre Esterhuizen broke through, but it was Marcus Smith just putting him through that gap? I think Marcus Smith can do that. I just think the attacking structure maybe of England lacked. That's why we spoke about it. Like, England didn't really know what to do with the ball and just got kicked away. I think Finn Smith is a million times better than Marcus Smith in terms of defense, though. He just gets really stuck in.
Let me ask you, Marcus Smith's he has a different style to every single 10, so I think that's a big reason why he's picked. But do you think because he's a bigger name and he's very recognisable in his style, and also he's played Australia quite a few times, that might be why he's selected as a sort of drawer of more eyeballs and viewers into the series?
Potentially. He is a big name. We spoke about it. Like, he is a draw. I don't think the British and Irish Lions really need an extra draw, to be fair. I think Maro Itoje by himself is a massive piece of marketing that you can use.
I disagree. I feel like a lot of England non-rugby fans will recognise Marcus Smith and know what he's about. And then a lot of Aussies have seen Marcus Smith play against them, and it's a draw. It's like Suwali is a draw for Australia, like non-rugby Australian watchers to watch.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I also think Marcus Smith can play a real impact against Australia. If you look at the way that they defend in, for instance, the Super Rugby, if they pull out any Super Rugby defense where there might be a bit more gaps defensively.
You get rugby ramblings on here, he's going to lose his head.
He'd be here for hours talking about that.
It's like a different game. Super Rugby compared to the rest is a different game. Like, it's a joy to watch, and defense is not optional. It's just a different way of them approaching it, right? Because as soon as that ball gets turned over, you know Australia is going to be so dangerous. We saw it even against England. Anytime that ball got spilled from England, Australia pounced on it. And I think if you have a bit more gaps, a bit more of open space, Marcus Smith can exploit that extremely, extremely well. That's why I think he has to be kind of involved in every one of the games, even though I'd play him from the bench every single time. So I'd either have Finn Russell starting or Finn Smith starting with Marcus on the bench.
I think it'd be good. You could Gibson Park and Russell start, and then you could bring on Mitchell and Smith together potentially.
I don't know how much Andy Farrell will like playing Finn Russell in a test match, and saying might try test the waters with the club matches first to see what his attitude's like, because I know Andy Farrell probably wouldn't like a 10 with that attitude, but it's going to be very interesting to see how these players will play in an Irish style system.
You literally had Johnny Sexton as your 10.
Johnny Sexton was
That's
the
attitude.
most dedicated man out there.
So what attitude does Finn Russell have?
A negative attitude. Like, he acts like he doesn't care sometimes.
What are you on about?
Oh no,
I'm right though. You see when he makes mistakes.
Jimmy's the harshest guy that I've heard. This is the harshest critic I've heard in my life.
I'm just saying it the way I see it is all. I just think that Finn Russell, especially in the last couple of months or so, I think he's really let himself down, especially with his attitude. And I think it's starting to show the negatives of it. It's starting to bring out the negatives.
When did he show his negative attitude?
Against England.
How?
When he missed the game-winning kick, he went over and he started swapping shirts.
I don't think that's gonna ruin his whole.
I don't think. I think if let's say if Keelan Doris or Sam Prendergast or whoever, like let's say if Sam Prendergast was Ireland captain this way, but
Jimmy, what would you do with your centre pairings? Would you go in combination work of Bundy and Ringrose and Yui Pilatu, or do you think Farrell might just switch it up a bit and say, let's say for instance, Tui Pilatu and Ringrose, and then Bundy with Hugh Jones?
I'd say he'll probably test out like mixing and matching in the club matches. Then if that doesn't work, he'll either go all Scottish or all Irish. Depending on who's on form, that's what I think.
Jake, for you?
I would mix and match and see what works. At least in the games against the Super Rugby teams, and then
there's 10 games. 10 games.
It's not a time to test things. You know?
Do you reckon 4 centres is maybe a bit on the short side if you look at 10 games? Because how many guys are there that can slot into that centre role necessarily?
You can play Daly at centre and you can play Freeman at centre.
But both of them would play outside centre, right?
Probably, but you could play Hugh Jones or Ringrose maybe inside centre for that one. Maybe.
That's probably why I think Robbie Henshaw's missing, because he can play both 12 and 13.
Good shout.
Who do you think was the fourth, like the fly half who just missed out?
Sam.
No.
To be honest.
He was 8th place. He was 8th.
Yeah, no. I mean, you see, hear me out here. I know the negative.
I actually have it as a sneaky
one.
One. I think Tom Jordan might be the one that missed out, because he also gives you that inside centre option. He's been playing pretty well. I think he could have been a nice little left field shout, because you've already got your specialists. So I think the guys that missed out are kind of your bit more utility guys.
Farrell played at 12 for 4 years.
Well, George Ford on form.
Yeah, George Ford is the most in form of the ones not there.
Yeah, probably. I'm just thinking, if someone of them had to be out, who am I bringing in?
I think Crowley.
If you lose a 10, I'd probably bring in George Ford. If you lose, for instance, like an inside centre, I think Tom Jordan could have been a good shot. Okay, well then Robbie Henshaw, obviously, but I don't think Tom Jordan is far off.
Manu Tuilangi has played like 20 games at Bayern and is playing really well, so that's an option.
Well, we have to consider. You see, last time in the Lions when one of the 10s went down injured, they didn't bring in Johnny Sexton, the experienced player. They brought in Marcus Smith, so. We could see one of the younger lads get called up if we're thinking like that, if we're thinking about how they did it last time round.
I think they'd call up. I think they play Henry Pollock at 10 before they play Sam Prendergast.
That's a violation now. I'm not taking that. I'm not taking that.
I reckon they would have called up Jack Crowley before they called up Prendergast.
Yeah.
No.
This is not disrespectful on Prendergast. I'm just thinking Jack Crowley would have done better than Prendergast.
I think the reason why Crowley doesn't get picked as much for Ireland is he's not consistent for Munster at all. That's my thinking of it. But I just think it's become a bit of a trend to hating the Sam, and people are just focusing on his negatives and not looking at.
We're not hating on Sam.
I know. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying in general, people are.
I mean, the guy's he's still very young. You can see the talent's there, but in the end, like, you need to make tackles.
Of course, yeah.
And you can see he still needs to find his feet. He still needs to find his feet, even in that, not even in the Irish jersey, but properly still in that Leinster jersey.
I think he's been thrown in the deep end since October time. Like before that, it was Kieran Frawley starting for Leinster. So
that's why
he's thrown in the deep end. I think he swam for the most. I think he's been swimming for the most part. So There's been a lot thrown at him, a lot of hate, a lot of lessons thrown at him. And I think he's
Yeah,
been
but
doing well for the
that's
most
what we're
part.
saying. It's not a far-fetched thing to say George Ford would have been brought up before him, and I think Crowley as well, because
Yeah.
the big games, Prendergast, he just hasn't performed yet in the big games. He still needs to find himself. He still needs to improve on a couple of aspects of his game. To throw him into the British and Irish Lions when he hasn't really stepped up to the plate as we know he can or he probably should do in the next few years.
Yeah.
It'll be a bit. It'll kind of.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's just my seeing on it though.
I think people like giving him hate when it should be on the coaches for overplaying him. And when young players get a chance, it's usually because there's an injury or something, or they've deserved it. But I feel like people think he's been pushed in. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think but some of it is just unjustified though. I think it's all stemmed from Munster fans being unhappy about Crowley not being there, so they just instantly go and attack the guy who's there instead of him. And I just think it's all just stemmed from there, really. And it's other people have joined in, really, and they've seen his not so great performances. Honestly, I think since people have started noticing his tackling isn't really there, I think his tackling's got worse, to be totally honest. I've noticed it get worse.
It's crumbling
I
under
didn't
the
notice it.
pressure.
Yeah, I think it's gotten worse. To be honest, I think he's been dropping more tackles since it got noticed.
I think you're noticing it more because you're when you're playing. It's a step up from the under-20s, isn't it? And you know these big games compared to URC games against the Dragons or whatever.
No, it is. It is certainly, and it's even a step up. Like this has got the feeling of this is bigger than a series. This is bigger than for instance, like a rugby championship or Six Nations. This is once every 4 years. This feels like the pinnacle of rugby. This does feel like World Cup type things. So I think it still needs to get used to the feeling of big games. I know you can say the same about Henry Pollock, but Henry Pollock seems to be the guy that's thriving off that again.
Yeah.
So that's just the difference of it. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to add before we wrap it up?
Are you happy with the 3 nines they picked, Jimmy?
Yeah.
The Welsh nines name has just left my head there.
Thomas Williams.
Thomas Williams. Yeah, I would have had Ben White in, to be honest. I know this was a rogue shout. I think my nines were quite a rogue shout. Now looking back, I probably would change it. I said Gibbs and Park, Ben White, and Craig Casey. Craig Casey for midweek, but I do think he'd probably get injured. But I think it would probably do him the world of good to stay at home.
Listen, Craig Casey is a wild shot. That is extremely left field.
Yeah, it is definitely. I understand that. But I do think it would do him the world of good to stay at home and start for Ireland. Yeah, I think it's probably, looking back, I think it's probably best that he stays at home and gets those starts against Georgia and all that. But yeah,
it's
probably
more
Alex
likely
Mitchell.
that they would have dragged out Conor Murray from retirement than played Craig Casey.
Conor Murray wanting to play in the All Ireland League now, like so.
I don't even
play for his local club.
Casey. He's decent. I wouldn't have him over Thomas Williams, but so not Alex Mitchell in that 3. It's disgusting.
Yeah, it was between him and Alex Mitchell for me because I do like Ben White a lot. I do think the way he plays is great. I think I do like his play a lot.
Ben White over Alex Mitchell. Oh,
I would have had him as second choice, to be totally honest. I would have had him as my 21. But that's just me. I just prefer the way he plays. But yeah, I think he was very harshly left out of that squad. Ben White.
9 and 21 is on lockdown for Gibson Park and Alex Mitchell. They could even start Alex Mitchell. He's been playing brilliantly for Saints.
They could. They definitely could.
Yeah, well, that's just me from what I've seen of the players as well. So
I think Alex Mitchell
week in, week out.
I think Alex Mitchell in rugby has probably got the best box kick.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
I think DuPont's still pretty, like, the distance he gets, but yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you look at that semi-final against South Africa, right? Alex Mitchell was on the dot every single box kick. It was scary.
He had a great game, and he had to win that game.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I think I get where you're coming from, and it would be good with the experience that Alex Mitchell has coming off the bench, probably for the Lions, as Jake was saying with his argument for Jamie George being in the squad. You do want that experience. Like we see teams, if they have their older scrum half, to bring him off the bench and later in games slow it down and that's when the experience comes out, and that's when it's really used at its best. So yeah, I understand that, and I think it's quite fair.
Jimmy, I'm gonna regret asking this, and this is the last question, but I just need to hear. With your starting 15, who's your 11, 14, 15?
11, 14, 15. James Lowe, Tommy Freeman, Hugo Keenan.
Okay. So if Blake Kinghorn plays, where does he play?
14.
So James Lowe and Hugo Keenan's locked in.
Yeah, for me, yeah.
Okay.
I think
not surprised
because he
at all.
does for Toulouse. Well, do you regret asking it, or do you think that was fair?
No, I don't regret it because I expected it.
But no, my reasoning for Kinghorn being on the wing is because when Thomas Ramos plays for Toulouse, he does quite a lot of the wing, and he does perform there. So
You know he's not going to play on the wing. He's not going to play
I
on the
know.
wing.
I know, but that was just me. I think he'd work better probably if Hugo Keenan starts. He'd probably work better as a 23. But yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. We're going to have a British Irish Lions tour, and the main talking point is still going to be who's going to start for Ireland: Sam Prendergast or Jack Crowley.
Yeah, in the Georgia game and the
Yeah.
Portugal game, it'll just be us Leinster and Munster fans going at it.
I reckon Ross Byrne's had a Sam Prendergast for this Lions selection.
No.
I don't think Ross Byrne isn't even eligible for Ireland anymore because he's going to England.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, where's he going again?
Gloucester.
Oh yeah, that's a decent signing.
Where's Crowley going?
Ross Byrne.
No,
Crowley,
but wasn't there rumors that Crowley is
Yeah.
also going to the Prem?
Yeah,
he was going to go to Leicester for 600k a year or something mad like that, but he ended up extending his Munster contract.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. That brings us to the end of it. People, please do remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Please do remember to go and
subscribe to him.
go support
What are you
Jake
pointing for?
and Jimmy. I know Jimmy said some wild things, but I'm pretty sure there's people that will agree with it as well. I mean, he's very Irish bias. It's extremely.
It's what I know, though. It's all I know.
Thank you for watching. Please leave your comments down below. We appreciate you guys. Bye-bye.